Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It is March 9th, 2023 and Javier Tebas wants UEFA to investigate Barcelona. Also, the club have been linked once again with the German player Florian Wirtz, and it seems that Barcelona have found a new midfielder in Uruguay. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. We'll begin with the news that Barcelona are currently preparing themselves as they're set to face off against Atletic de Bilbao on Sunday in a difficult away match where Barcelona are gonna have to face off against Ernesto Valverde's team at San Mamés. Now, speaking of the match against Atletic de Bilbao, La Liga have announced that the referee for that match is gonna be no other than Gil Manzano. Now, Gil Manzano, you might recall, he's the referee that was seen leaving the Bernabeu with bags full of gifts with the Real Madrid logo on them. He's also the only referee in the history of La Liga to have given a red card to Lionel Messi, Suarez, Neymar, and Lewandowski. And of course, he is the referee who gave a red card to Lewandowski. And thanks to his report where he said that Lewandowski touched his nose, the Polish striker received a 3-match ban. So it seems that winning La Liga this season is going to be extra difficult for Barcelona, starting with the fact that this is a brand new project that's under construction, and then with all the bad refereeing calls that Barcelona had to deal with this season, all the injuries that we've had to deal with as well, and now La Liga decides to elect Gil Manzano to be the referee in the match between Barcelona and Atletic de Bilbao. Now, as I mentioned before, the Spanish Football Federation has officially confirmed that Ronald Araujo will only miss one match as a result of that red card that he received last weekend against Valencia. So Ronald Araujo will not be available to play against Atletic de Bilbao. However, he will be available to play in the following match, which will be El Clásico on March 19th. Now, speaking of Ronald Araujo, he is officially now a citizen of Spain. He has received his Spanish citizenship, and as such, he has freed up an international spot on Barcelona because, as you might know, every team in La Liga is only allowed a certain number of foreign players, and with Araujo now being a Spanish citizen, a spot for an international player has freed up, and a speculation that this might have been done so they can free up a space for Vitor Roque, who is of course Brazilian. Now, even if that's not the reason why Barcelona did this or why Ronald Araujo did this, it's still a good tool to use in the negotiations with Vitor Roque because it sounds much better to go to a player and say, hey, we have an international spot open on our team, rather than, hey, we have all of our spots full, but we will figure out later once you sign with the club. Now, speaking of El Clásico, as I reported in yesterday's video, it seems that Dembélé could be a doubt for that match, and it's now been confirmed 100% that the French forward will definitely miss the El Clásico match on March 19th. Now, even though Dembélé has reported that he feels fine and that he's ready to play that match, both Xavi and the club's doctors have decided not to risk it with Dembélé since he does have a long history of getting injured and re-injured. They have decided to give him a rest, and he won't be back until after the international break, which will immediately follow that El Clásico match. Now, on to the news that Javier Tebas wants UEFA to investigate Barcelona in regards to the Enriquez Negreira case. Now, as I've talked about many times before in my previous videos, it was revealed that Josep Maria Bartomeu during the years of 2016 and 2018 had hired the former referee Enriquez Negreira as a consultant for the club. And this is not something out of the ordinary because all the clubs in La Liga hire former referees as consultants to help them figure out the footballing rules of La Liga. But what's fishy about this whole situation is that when Bartomeu hired Negreiras, he happened to be the vice president of the board of referees. Now, as a result of this scandal, the prosecutor's office in Spain have decided to file corruption charges against Barcelona, Josep Maria Bartomeu, and several members of his board of directors for continued bribery for the Enriquez Negreira case. Well, now La Liga's president Javier Tebas have announced that he will write to UEFA because he wants the European body to also investigate Barcelona for the Negreira's case. And Javier Tebas has said that he's not obsessed with Barcelona, that all he wants to do is make sure that La Liga's name stays clean. Now, Tebas is once again showing his true colors and his absolute hate and dismay for FC Barcelona. And this is absolutely shameful from the president of La Liga, who's supposed to be looking out for all the clubs in the Spanish league. But yet he seems to spend every single minute of the day obsessing about Barcelona and thinking of 20 different ways of how to screw our club. Now, thankfully, Javier Tebas' term will come to an end at the end of this year in December of 2023. And I really hope that he gets voted out, because Javier Tebas has been an absolute cancer to the Spanish league, not just by the way he has treated Barcelona all these years, but by the fact that he hasn't done much to improve La Liga. And in fact, under him, the situation in La Liga has actually gotten worse, where La Liga have dropped from being the second most grossing league in the world to the third, having been surpassed by the Bundesliga. Now on to the news that Barcelona have been linked once again with the German player Florian Wirtz. We've talked about Florian Wirtz in a past video. He's a 19-year-old attacking midfielder who currently plays for Leverkusen, and he has expressed on one and more occasion his desire to play at Barcelona, and he has said that's been his dream to play at Barcelona ever since he was a kid, and that hasn't changed. Well, it seems that Barcelona are also very impressed with Florian Wirtz and are keen on signing him, especially since Xavi likes Florian Wirtz and thinks he would be a great addition to his squad. But of course, there remains the big problem of his market value, where it's estimated that Florian Wirtz is valued at 70 million euros, despite only playing 10 matches this season, which goes to show how good Florian Wirtz is. And if you haven't seen any of his highlights, I recommend you to look him up, because he's definitely a very impressive attacking midfielder. Now, Florian Wirtz has a contract with Bayer Leverkusen until 2027, and it seems that Barcelona have asked him for patience and have asked him to wait for them for one more year until the summer of 2024, because there's no way that Barcelona could sign Florian Wirtz this summer, but they're definitely very interested in signing the German midfielder. Now, there are several clubs interested in Florian Wirtz right now, such as Real Madrid and Liverpool, and Barcelona want to maintain the communications between the player and his entourage, because they want to make sure that Florian Wirtz stays put at Bayer Leverkusen for one more season, because they definitely want to try to sign him in the summer of 2024. Now, speaking of signing players, Barcelona are very interested in signing the Uruguayan midfielder Fabricio Diaz. Now, Fabricio Diaz is 20 years old and he plays for Liverpool de Montevideo, and he can play both as a center midfielder and as a defensive midfielder. And Barcelona are very interested in the young player, and they're currently working on a plan to try to sign him in the summer. Now, Fabricio Diaz was a player that Barcelona were already tracking, and they were interested in him, and they became even more interested after his great performance in the Under-20 South American Championship, where he played 8 matches, and during those 8 matches he scored 5 goals and provided 2 assists. Now, this is the same championship where Vitor Roque and his Brazilian squad won the trophy, and where Vitor Roque was the top scorer of that tournament. And Barcelona were monitoring that tournament very closely, because it's been reported that Barcelona have been looking for a center midfielder in South America for quite some time, and it looks like they have landed on Fabricio Diaz. Now, Barcelona are currently working on a formula to try to sign the Uruguayan midfielder, where the plan is to sign him for the Barca Atletic with a Barca Atletic salary, so he can get used to Spanish football in the Barca Atletic, and once he's ready, he can start playing with the first team. The same formula pretty much that Barcelona used to sign Ronald Araujo from Uruguay, and what a signing that was, because Ronald Araujo is now one of the best center backs in the entire world, and he only cost us around 4.7 million euros. Now, it's reported that Fabricio Diaz has a 6 million euro market value, which Barcelona consider as affordable. So the club will continue working on finding a formula to try to sign the player, because they consider that this is a good bet for the future. Now, as I've said many times before in my previous videos, I really think that these are the kind of bets that Barcelona need to be making, the kind of gambles that the club need to be making. You know, young players with a bright future ahead of them, and a good projection for their future as well, because these players don't cost much, and if Barcelona and these players do end up living up to their expectation, Barcelona ends up winning by signing these future stars for very little. And even if they don't end up working out, then it's not a big deal, because then you didn't spend that much money unlike some of the signings in the past where we signed Griezmann and Coutinho for a combined 300 million euros, and both of them didn't work out, and now the club are out 300 million euros for two players that simply did not fit. Now we will end today's video with the news that there's now a lot of speculation about which Barcelona will leave in the summer after Joan Laporta's statements that he made in his recent interview. Now, Joan Laporta, as I reported in a previous video, confirmed that Barcelona will definitely be signing a striker this upcoming summer, and he also added that some players are going to have to leave. So now there's a lot of speculation about which forward is going to have to leave, because of course with the arrival of Vitor Roque, which Barcelona are currently working on, one of Barcelona's forwards is going to have to be offloaded. Now of course amongst the 5 forwards that Barcelona currently have, it's not going to be Lewandowski or Dembele. So the question remains whether it's going to be Rafinha, Ferran Torres or Ansu Fati. Now, internal sources at the club are saying that Rafinha is not transferable in the eyes of Xavi, and plus they consider that he has just arrived at the club. So even if he's not performing at his best, it's because he's still adapting and they expect him to improve on his performance. So the question remains whether it will be Ferran Torres or Ansu Fati who will be offloaded this upcoming summer. Now, I personally don't think the club are going to offload Ansu Fati because after all, he is La Masia byproduct, and he's someone that the club trusts that will recover his form that he had prior to his injury. So I really think it's going to be Ferran Torres, because Ferran Torres has not lived up to his expectation, and he's not been performing well for quite some time, and I really haven't seen any improvement either. But of course, I would love to hear from you, so drop a comment down below letting me know who do you think Barcelona will offload this summer, whether it's going to be Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati, or someone else amongst Barcelona's forwards. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I'd like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, peace, Barça.